Hello and welcome. Today we are making fajitas. This seasoning blend is designed to taste like an average restaurant-style fajita and will work with pork, chicken, or steak. I'm using steak today. But while the seasonings are designed to get that restaurant taste, I am cooking in a decidedly non-normal way, but we'll get to that in a moment. Apologies for the delay between videos, my lower back is rather fragile. So, with that out of the way, let's look at what we're going to need to make this. For this, we will need a pound of steak, chicken, or pork, your choice, 2 bell peppers sliced into 3-inch strips, any color will do, 1 large or 2 small onions, cut also into strips, and for the spices you will need 1 teaspoon cornstarch, 2 teaspoons chili powder, 1 teaspoon salt, 1 teaspoon paprika, 1/2 teaspoon garlic powder, 1/2 teaspoon onion powder, 1/2 teaspoon cumin, 1/4 teaspoon cayenne pepper, and 1 teaspoon sugar. The first thing we will need to do is mix our spices. This makes sure that when we spread them out onto the steak and the vegetables, the taste is nice and even and we don't have pockets with too much or too little of any flavor. One thing to note on this, as weird as it might sound, the sugar is actually needed. It tastes off without it, and it's like, wow, that's close, but not quite the fajita I was looking for. But it also somehow doesn't actually taste sweet in the dish. Once you're all mixed up, we are ready for the next step. So, for the meat, we want to cut it into strips about 3 inches long and about 3/4 of an inch wide. This will let it shrink a little bit and still remain around the same size as the onions and peppers. Super easy for me since my steak was basically already cut into a box shape. Just cut into strips and then divide the strips. Now for the onions, once cleaned and skinned, just cut them in half. And these slices should be about 1/4 to 1/3 of an inch in width. This is going to leave some crispness and bite in them after they've been cooked for a little bit. Bell peppers are going to be mostly the same. Trim off the top, the bottom, trim out any of the white membrane you see in the inside. That is actually the bitter part on most bell peppers. And then cut the rest into slices about 1/4 inch to 1/3 of an inch again in length, and try to get about 3 inches if possible. And you are good to go. Now we want to take our steak and half of the seasoning mix and get that nicely mixed together. This will let it get a bit of a tiny marinade to help the flavor out. Since it's so thin, it's not important to marinate it, but give it about 5 minutes and you'll be good. Do the same with the onions and peppers, and we just want to mix the other half of the spices with those, and again let them sit for about 5 minutes just like the steak. As always, I'd like to thank you all for watching. If you're not already a subscriber and would like to see more videos like this, subscribe for more, and of course cat pictures. Also, a huge thank you from us to everyone who's been watching, liking, and sharing the videos. It's a huge help to the channel, the kitties, and me, and it helps us grow a great deal. So, unlike a restaurant, I'm going to go the lazy route, and I am using a non-stick wok. Starting with our steak, we want to make sure it's done or close to it, so we'll want to cook this for about 5 to 7 minutes. Now that's going to get them all the way done and render out a tiny bit of the fat that was in there, and that'll just make it slightly tender with a slightly lighter bite firmness. Once it looks roughly like this, we are ready for the onions and peppers. The wok was chosen for 2 reasons. 1, a large capacity, and 2, more importantly, because a large capacity pan has so much space, it allows for more inconsistency in your cooking. In this case, we're actually going to take advantage of that, and we're going to put all the peppers and onions in and just give it an initial mix so that we have everything mixed at different heights. And then you're pretty much just going to leave it alone for 5 to 7 minutes. This is going to get you some of the onions and peppers that will end up being fully cooked and soft throughout, and then some at the top that are only partially softened, or some that may even be verging on raw still. So you get a nice mix of crisp and soft veggies with your protein of choice. Once your 5 minutes are up, you are ready to serve. Quick tip on the tortillas that may help make yours a little bit nicer. If you put them in the oven on warm for about 10 minutes, the fats in the tortillas soften and become more pliable. You can do this in the microwave as well, but it only lasts for about 1/4 of the time it does if you use the oven on warm like this. If you're making more than one serving and you need to store them, just put a damp towel above them so that they don't dry out in the oven, and as long as they're on warm, at that point they won't dry out and they'll stay nice and flexible. And with that, we are done, and you have made fajitas that taste like the ones you can get in the restaurant for a lot cheaper. This is a super easy, fairly quick weeknight meal that's always worth making, because really, you ever hear anybody go, nah, no fajitas for me? Exactly. So, again, my thanks to everyone who has been watching and liking the videos as always, and I hope you have a great day and a great meal.